Dante and Lady's kiss just wouldn't seem to end. After all, Dante had somehow managed to make a girl kiss him who, not too long ago, had practically been his mortal enemy, and he did it with a single brilliant move. Then the story takes us 3 years into the past. We see Dante alongside his old friend Enzo, who is already dead by the present day. The two of them have just completed a very dangerous job and have arrived to collect their payment. The place they enter looks almost like a jungle. Eventually, they reach Professor Lucan, the man who hired them for the mission. Suddenly, a white tiger appears beside them. For some reason, the tiger seems to like Dante. Professor Lucan says, this white tiger prefers to live alone. Their numbers have become so few that they've almost lost hope of ever finding another of their kind. Then Lucan says, your payment is ready. Come with me. As they walk, Professor Lucan asks Dante, while carrying out all these dangerous missions, have you ever encountered something that people would call magic? Dante immediately replies, I don't believe in magic. Most of those tricks are fake anyway. I still don't understand why magicians carry those ridiculously long scarves around. Lucan laughs and says, you do have a good sense of humor. Then, without warning, Professor Lucan uses his powers to take control of a monkey's mind. And that's not all. Plants suddenly begin growing from the ground. Using his abilities, he causes vegetation to sprout everywhere, and moments later, a massive magical tree rises before them, and then, boom, everything instantly returns to normal. Enzo comments, neat trick with the monkey. You do realize we charge by the hour, and technically, you're still on the clock. Then Professor Lucan turns to Dante and says, you've been given a gift too, Dante, but you're wasting it. You've cut yourself off from what you could become, hiding behind this false, cynical shell, and behind your hunger for revenge, hoping it will somehow balance the pain of what you lost. Dante's expression darkens as he replies, what do you know about what I lost? Lucan calmly answers, you'll discover your true strength when you walk the path of light, when you begin living for something greater than yourself. I can show you that path, if you'll allow me. Before Dante can answer, Enzo cuts in and says, that's enough. You're just trying to manipulate this kid so you can use his powers for your own benefit. You should be ashamed of yourself. Dante immediately replies, he's got a point. Kind of like how you've been using me to make a lot of money. After thinking for a moment, Professor Lucan finally hands over the reward for the mission. The second Enzo sees the money, he quickly grabs it and starts walking away. As he leaves, he says, thanks for the third-rate magic show. Watching them go, Professor Lucan quietly says, that boy will always choose the harder path, just like his father, stubborn to the very end. Then we return to the present, right back to the kiss scene. Suddenly, Lady comes back to her senses and pushes Dante away. I shouldn't have done that. Dante immediately complains, why did you push me away? Lady quickly replies, don't get the wrong idea. I just got carried away celebrating the victory. Dante smirks and says, so this is how private military soldiers celebrate their victories? Lady rolls her eyes and answers, we can talk about that later, when the world is no longer in danger. The moment she mentions danger, Dante immediately remembers his brother Virgil, who at that very moment is trapped in a serious situation. Dante prepares to leave and help him, but Lady stops him and says, there's no point going back now. By the time we get there, the fight will already be over. Virgil can take care of himself. He is your brother after all, just a little less stupid than you. And by now, he's probably already beaten Arius the same way he beat you. Dante instantly replies, that's because I wasn't actually trying to fight him. The two of them then decide that the Arcana must be destroyed. After all, even Mundus himself had never been able to destroy it. Dante says, I once worked for a professor, Lucan I think his name was. He had incredible powers. His mansion was basically a jungle. I even saw him control a monkey's mind. Lady stares at him and says, what kind of nonsense are you talking about, Dante? Dante replies, if anyone can destroy the Arcana, it's that professor. Lady sighs, if I stay around you much longer, I'm going to lose my mind too. But I trust you. With permission from a driver, the two hop onto a motorcycle and head out. Soon we see them arriving at the same jungle mansion. The place is eerily quiet. Looking around, Lady says, wow, this really is a jungle. The two continue walking deeper into the overgrown estate when suddenly, a white tiger attacks Lady from behind. Fortunately, Professor Lucan appears just in time and stops it. He smiles and says, looks like he frightened you. Sorry about that. We rarely get visitors around here. Lady immediately replies, maybe that's because you let a tiger roam freely around your house. Then Lucan turns toward Dante and says, it's good to see you again, son of Sparta. Hearing that, Dante freezes. Wait, you knew who I was all along? You couldn't have told me earlier. That would have saved us a lot of trouble. Lucan calmly replies, how could I tell you the truth before you were ready to face it? There's a difference between knowing who you are and discovering your true identity. Lady nudges Dante and says, come on, let's leave. This old man is useless. I've met plenty of people like him. Lucan immediately responds, I know trust doesn't come easily for you. How could it when your father had two faces? Hearing that, Lady is instantly reminded of her painful past. Lucan then says, I'm sorry about your friend Enzo. He was truly a good friend. Dante quickly returns to the main issue and holds up the Arcana Medallia. I hope you know how to destroy this thing. The moment Lucan sees it, his expression changes. Arcana Medallia? Where did you get this? When Dante explains that they stole it from Arius and that the remaining Arcana pieces are still in his possession, Lucan becomes serious. You stole it from Arius? If it's here, then he'll eventually come searching for it. Without wasting a second, Lucan uses his powers to create countless fake copies of the Arcana Medallia and scatters them across the world. Meanwhile, when Arius attempts to locate the artifact using his powers, his search completely fails because of all the decoys. Lucan then explains, if Arius gathers all 4 Arcana pieces, tomorrow tomorrow's hybrid eclipse will allow him to resurrect Argosax. Dante replies, yeah, I've heard that already. Even Mundus is afraid of him. Lucan shakes his head. It isn't only Mundus who has reason to fear. Argosax's resurrection would unleash a tidal wave of quantum energy powerful enough to level an entire city, and then he will begin to feed. Lady asks, what does that mean? To achieve his ultimate form, Argosax requires fuel, the life force of living beings. Millions will die. Dante asks, how do you know that? Because at the moment of his birth, he devoured an entire civilization. He continues, long ago, before Earth and Makai were separated, both worlds existed together. There were great ancient cities where humans and demons lived side by side. It is said their knowledge surpassed our own in many ways. But then Argosax was born. Argosax swallowed the ancient worlds whole to reach the peak of his power. If he returns, our fate will be exactly the same. Meanwhile, Arius begins destroying the fake Arcana medallias one by one, trying to locate the real one. Back at the mansion, Lucan explains, I can destroy the Arcana medallia, but controlling its power and eliminating it completely will take 8 hours. Just then, Lucan's granddaughter suddenly appears. You didn't tell me we were having guests. She strikes a pose and announces, I'm Matilda, future actress, pop superstar, and fashion designer. Lucan immediately says, I told you not to come here. Go back to your room. As she leaves, she pouts. That's cheating. Again. Lucan sighs. Please forgive her. She's had a very difficult life. I'm the only family she has left. Then Lucan begins the ritual that will destroy the Arcana medallia. He orders Dante and Lady to wait outside. Until I finish destroying it, nobody enters this room. Outside, Lady asks Dante, so what exactly are we supposed to do for 8 hours? And then Matilda shows up again. The next thing we know, Dante and Lady are basically being dragged around by her and forced to play all sorts of games and activities she invents. Neither of them can really refuse. Eventually, Matilda tires herself out laughing and falls asleep. Meanwhile, Arius finally discovers the location of the real Arcana medallia. At the same time, we find Dante and Lady alone together in a room. And well, you know what usually happens when a male and female are left alone together for long enough? Eventually, the hunter finds a way to win over his prey. And that's exactly how Dante seems to be acting. Not only that, but the prey doesn't seem particularly unhappy about it either. Anyway, let's leave those two alone. Elsewhere, Arius and his forces are already approaching. The Arcana medallia is only 1 hour away from being completely destroyed. It turns out Arius already knows Professor Lucan. With an entire army behind him, he marches toward the mansion. The moment they force their way inside, Lucan senses them immediately. He sends the monkey to warn Dante. And no, don't ask why the Dante isn't wearing any clothes. Dante rushes outside and sees the white tiger fighting Arius's forces. Unfortunately, the duplicates quickly kill the tiger. At the same time, Matilda wakes up and goes outside saying, nobody throws a party in my house without inviting me. One of the duplicates spots her and moves to attack, but Dante jumps in and destroys it before it can hurt her. Then he tells her, don't be afraid, go hide somewhere safe. He also entrusts her with protecting his locket. Matilda runs away, but now the real battle begins. Dante and Lady agree on one thing. We just need to keep them away from Professor Lucan for 1 more hour. The fighting continues for a while. Then Arius orders Lucia to move in. Lucia reveals something important. Arius created them by combining human and demon cells. That means they can transform into demons whenever they want, something you can't do at will. Moments later, every one of them transforms. The battle becomes far more dangerous. Eventually, Lady is nearly killed because there are simply too many enemies. Seeing her in danger fills Dante with rage. He doesn't want to lose another person he cares about, so Dante finally transforms into his demon form, and instantly the entire battle turns around. He begins slaughtering enemies as if they were insects. Watching this, Arius says, it's time to strike at his weakness. Lady sees Dante fighting and jokes, you should have transformed earlier. This would have been way more fun. But before she can say anything else, the main demon suddenly attacks her and carries her high into the sky. The moment Dante realizes what's happening, he rushes toward her, but the enemies use the opportunity to wound him. Demons can regenerate and are difficult to kill. Lady, however, cannot. The main demon brutally tortures her in the air and leaves her badly injured. Then it suddenly drops her from an enormous height. Seeing Lady in that condition pushes Dante beyond his limit. Lucan desperately shouts, Dante, don't leave this place! But Dante is too furious to listen. Ignoring Lucan completely, he charges toward the main demon to avenge Lady. He tears through enemy after enemy, yet there are so many duplicates that he still can't reach his target. When he finally clears a path and attacks the main demon, she laughs and says, your weakness is your emotions. You never think clearly. I tricked you. I completely fooled you. And just like that, Arius successfully captures Dante's greatest weakness. Holding Lady, a little girl, hostage, he says, drop your weapon, otherwise her death will be your responsibility. Dante doesn't know what to do. At that moment, the main demon strikes him directly. The blow sends him crashing down as he begins reverting to his human form. Then Arius turns toward Lucan and says, come on, Professor, end this little performance. Hand over the medallia. The Arcana medallia is only moments away from destruction. Lucan faces an impossible choice. Destroy the Arcana or save his granddaughter. Arius offers a deal. Stop the ritual and I'll spare your granddaughter. After a painful moment of thought, Lucan chooses to save Matilda. He steps forward and confronts Arius. Arius smiles. Professor Lucan, it's a pleasure to see you. I wish we could have met under happier circumstances. Although, for me, this is a happy occasion. Lucan says, let her go. Arius replies, first the medallia. Talia. The moment Arius receives it, he releases Matilda. She immediately runs toward her grandfather, but suddenly, the main demon appears behind him, and in an instant, Professor Lucan is torn apart and killed. As if that wasn't enough, Matilda is teleported away to an unknown location, just like Virgil had been before. Then Arius looks at Dante and says, "Don't worry, the girl is alive, but she's somewhere that staying alive isn't child's play, and I never lie." Dante is already so wounded and exhausted that he finally loses consciousness, and after all this bloodshed and tragedy, the episode comes to an end. So guys, if you want the series to continue, subscribe to the channel, and if you enjoyed the video, leave a like. No more, no less.
Yes, that's it.